Good evening. I'm Tanya Bird, Manager of Community Engagement Policy at Dominion Energy. Welcome on behalf of my company and also on behalf of our wonderful partners for almost a decade, the Library of Virginia. Honestly, this is more than a partnership. We are collaborators in a worthy cause and legacy, a 3-decade-old annual event to celebrate Black History Month. We're doing the work of recognition, and tonight we celebrate good deeds, good lives, and good people. Of course, this event looks a little different this year. Almost everything is a little different. But while we miss being in a big room together, eating, laughing, and celebrating, and most importantly, learning, we are still happy to be together with you tonight virtually. So in the spirit of camaraderie and fellowship, who's ready? Again, thank you all for joining us. It is now my pleasure to introduce Bob Blue, Dominion Energy's President and CEO. Bob began this role in October after many years in a variety of important leadership roles here at Dominion Energy. Bob's been involved in community efforts, including the Virginia Healthcare Foundation, for more than 2 decades, and we're all very happy that he's here tonight. Bob?
Thanks, Tanya. Earlier this month, Governor Northam said that Black history is American history and should be acknowledged and celebrated continuously as fundamental to the strength and diversity of our Commonwealth and our country. It gives us an important opportunity to honor the legacy of countless Black Americans that have shaped our history. That's the core purpose of Strong Men and Women. We're here to honor the legacies of Black Americans, including legacies underway, our outstanding high school essayists and poets. Just a few weeks ago, the nation's first female vice president took her oath of office, the daughter of immigrants from India and Jamaica. That was impressive. It shows that we can and must move forward, especially when it comes to embracing talent. There was something else impressive on inaugural day. A young African-American woman, Amanda Gorman, stood up before the country and read a poem she'd written, which said, "Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken but simply unfinished." That's how a lot of us feel. We have work to finish. Strong Men and Women is a valuable part of our effort to do so. You know, Tanya is absolutely right. It would be wonderful if we could all gather together in one place and celebrate today. But while we're going to be careful, the strong beating heart of Strong Men and Women endures. This program, and I can't thank the Virginia State Library enough for its continuing sponsorship, that has developed over many years and helps express our community's resolve to spot student talent, recognize their achievements, and celebrate lifetime greatness. We'll honor student achievement first. Then we'll honor the legacies of 5 outstanding individuals, all of whom, by deeds and determination, have earned our admiration and our community's recognition. Many voices will speak today, including the mayor of Richmond, or more accurately, the second-term mayor. Mayor Stoney won re-election last fall, a public affirmation of his efforts to lead Richmond and build a better future. My job can get interesting occasionally, but it's nothing like the challenge of running a large, complex urban community. I congratulate the mayor as he begins a second term in office. Please welcome our very special guest, Mayor LeVar Stoney.
Thanks for that introduction, Bob. As the mayor of the great city of Richmond, it has been a goal of mine to ensure the capital of the Commonwealth of Virginia is an equitable and inclusive place for all to live. To meet our moment, the full story of our city and the Commonwealth must continue to be told. That is why I thank Dominion Energy for continuing to partner with the Library of Virginia in honoring African American men and women for their accomplishments. We often think of equity in terms of access to resources or fairness in the workplace. But what most don't recognize is there is equity in telling full and complete histories, making sure that the voices behind positive social change are elevated and honored. By not elevating and honoring the agents of change, the community as a whole falls prey to a lack of inspiration, a lack of encouragement, and a lack of representation. For centuries, the Black community has constantly fought to elevate their voices above hate. Awards like the Strong Men and Strong Women in Virginia History Award continues to exalt our Black community leaders and the social causes they stand up for. This year's honorees certainly exemplify that vision of excellence. They include Dr. Lurla G. Joseph, a physician and community health advocate that has served on boards of the Richmond Community Hospital and the Bon Secours Health System. She was also the first woman elected as president of the Richmond Medical Society. Krista Jones established the Virginia Leadership Institute, now known as Vote, Lead, Impact, which trains and mentors African Americans to run for elected office at all levels of government, not just in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but also nationwide. My friend Senator Louise Lucas is a trailblazer and a legendary Virginia legislator who became the first woman and the first African American elected as President Pro Tem of the Virginia Senate. The late Reverend Stan Macklin, a devoted social justice activist who promoted criminal justice reform and co-founded Americans Resisting Minority and Ethnic Discrimination, just to raise awareness of police shootings of unarmed Black men. And the late Evelyn Syphax, an educator and entrepreneur who established the Syphax Child Care Center in 1963 when she could not find a preschool to accept her son. See, these are shining examples proving that Black history is around all of us. I thank these honorees and their families for sharing their legacy and further inspiring us to do even more.
Thank you, Mayor. We achieved a very perfect union 9 years ago with the merging of Dominion Energy's Strong Men and Women Excellence in Leadership program and the Library of Virginia's African American Trailblazers program. To tell us more about it, please welcome Dr. Sandra Treadway, the librarian of the Library of Virginia.
Good evening, everyone. I am delighted to be here this evening representing the Library of Virginia to celebrate with you all the amazing men and women being honored this evening through the Strong Men and Women in Virginia History program. Would that we were gathering in person, as meeting and talking with the Strong Men and Women honorees each year is one of the highlights for me. But I am so glad that we are able to offer this program virtually because it's an important educational experience that allows the stories of the honorees to be widely known and acknowledged. The Library of Virginia is extremely proud to partner with Dominion Energy to bring you this important program, as we have done every year since 2013. The library holds the most comprehensive collection of material documenting 4 centuries of Virginia history and government that is available anywhere in the world. In addition to our official archives, which contain the records of state government and its interaction through the years with Virginians of all walks of life and backgrounds, the library holds an impressive collection of newspapers, photographs, prints, maps, personal papers, organization records, and so much more. The stories and voices of Virginians from days gone by up through the present are found in the records we hold. The Strong Men and Women program gives us a special opportunity to share some of these stories with you, as well as with teachers and students across the Commonwealth. We are delighted to promote Strong Men and Women in Virginia history in Virginia schools and to facilitate the Student Creative Expression Contest that is an important component of Strong Men and Women each year. The library has also created a traveling exhibit featuring the 2021 Strong Men and Women honorees. One copy of the exhibit will be on display in the Library of Virginia, and a second copy will travel across the Commonwealth this year to libraries and other local locations. This provides citizens who cannot come to Richmond a chance to learn about the accomplishments of this year's inspiring honorees in their own communities. Posters that feature the honorees have also been sent to Virginia schools for students and teachers to use during Black History Month and beyond. And the contents of the posters can also be found on the Library of Virginia website. With so many students learning remotely due to the pandemic, the web component of Strong Men and Women is vitally important, and we hope that teachers, students, and parents will make good use of it in the coming year. This is truly a special evening. Again, my deepest thanks to Dominion Energy for making this outstanding program possible through the wonders of technology. It's an honor for the Library of Virginia to be part of it, and I thank each of you for joining us as well.
Thank you, Dr. Treadway. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our Mistress of Ceremonies for the night, Makia Turner, and welcome her to her first Strong Men and Women in Virginia History program. Makia Turner joined NBC 12 News team after spending 5 years at the CBS affiliate in Washington, D.C., the area she grew up. While there, Makia earned an Emmy nomination while serving as a weekend morning anchor, morning live reporter, and fill-in traffic anchor. She wore many hats as a multimedia journalist. She loves a challenge. Makia attended Rutgers University, the State University of New Jersey, New Brunswick, Piscataway, where she earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in journalism, media studies, and minored in Japanese. Makia, thank you for joining us this evening. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Tanya. Good evening to you all. I'm so excited to be here. It's certainly an honor to help recognize and celebrate such an incredible group of trailblazers, both present and in spirit. It's also exciting to put the spotlight on this year's student contest winners who will no doubt become influential leaders of the next generation. I was really impressed with the pieces that you all submitted. As a new Virginian, but native to the D.C. area, I'm familiar with a lot of the history here, right up to this past year, when the pain and frustration of social injustice awakened the conscience inside of people of all ethnicities and from different parts of the world even. 2020 was a tough year, and remnants are still being felt. We've all had to adjust our lives during these unprecedented times, unable to see our friends and our family the way we used to. We've even had to grapple with the reality of disparities with the virus. Early data revealing that African Americans and Hispanics were contracting the virus and dying at higher rates than white Americans. When it comes to Black-owned businesses, we saw a 41% drop between February and April of last year. Then, a wave of support in the wake of tragic events like the death of George Floyd for those businesses. To say we've been through a lot as the Black community, as a country, as a whole, is an understatement, but it's impressive to see a community determined not only to face its history and understand it better, but to also use the past as a platform for building a better future, a future that is promising and certainly hopeful for everyone. And that's what we hope to accomplish today with your presence as we celebrate you. I also want to take time to recognize Dominion Energy and the Library of Virginia for how much we appreciate you for going above and beyond to celebrate Black History Month in ways that are meaningful and lasting. It's an inspiration to us all. Well, we begin this evening with our Student Creative Contest winners. Each year, we invite Virginia high school students to honor outstanding African Americans by participating in a student writing contest. This year, we did things a little bit differently, though, and we held a creative contest. We received quite a few entries and have picked the best 4. And by the way, since this is a competition, the winners will receive more than recognition we are giving them tonight. They will also receive an Apple MacBook Air laptop, computer, and an award. In addition, each winner's school will receive $1,000. So as we've done in the past, we gave the students a framework and asked them to respond. So here's the prompt. Many Americans are confronting the long history of racial violence in the United States that is often ignored and that has manifested itself into our political and social systems. One definition of social justice describes it as justice in terms of the distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges within a society. What does social justice mean to you? How has a lack of social justice throughout American history affected minority communities? What actions can you take in support of social justice? Each response, a creative piece, was recorded by the student and submitted. Our first winner is Tamia Booker, Central Region winner from the Appomattox Regional Governor's School, Petersburg. Tamia is in the 11th grade.
Right, daddy changed the world. Wait, we don't. He did what?
That changed the world.
Daddy changed the world.
This project is explaining the George Floyd effect. Social justice to me is everyone receiving an equal opportunity regardless of skin color. And if one race is being excluded, everyone fights until it's equal. The lack of social justice throughout American histories has resulted in wars and protests, as the one shown here. Actions I can take in support are to create visual representations, like the one shown, and to work with my fellow Girl Scouts to educate others about different cultures and to uplift equality in all forms.
Come on home, man. One day it's gonna be you and God. You going up or you going down.
Thank you, Tamia. Certainly powerful images and a moment in history that none of us will ever forget. Well, our next winner is from our Eastern region, Madison Ford. She's a 10th grader from Oscar Smith High School, Chesapeake. Take a look.
So, what is social justice? Are we talking about inequality or nationality? 2013, Black Lives Matter. So, I have a question. What happened to all for one and one for all? Liberty and justice for all? You as the people, you as the nation, we are running out of patience. I am talking about the 2020 protest. My life and many others seem to be expendable by a system I felt was totally dependable and being unreliable. I'm hoping in time justice will be sought for those to blame for this battle I surely fought. So if you're wondering, how can I help or what can I do? I can help by educating a few. So do you know about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr. as they inspired the influence for the continuous fight, the matter of right for 400 years still grappling with police brutality, sexuality, and equality? Justice for all just isn't specific enough. Resistance in us, that is why Rosa Parks sat on the bus. That's why when we walk our heads are up, hands up and feet touching the ground. So, I've seen what the future holds for us. Our history, decades of characterization, history of Black lives and how we became the strive. We're fighting difference with different, conspicuous, misunderstood, the myths of my sobriety. Black faces, men and women, when is it going to end? I'm asking myself, time and time again, a different place, different face, but always the same race. A lot of people don't want to talk about police brutality, LGBTQ, sexuality. Once said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. So, never look back, meaning way back. Keep your head intact, looking forward, so upweight the slack. Religion comes with Black lives, your lives, and our lives. So, what about social justice? Black society, more minorities. I'm saying Declaration of Independence, quoting in bold, a nation in which there will be equal justice for all. Still, years later, more like tears later, still unachieved, disbelieved, we're still fighting. Here's the 13th Amendment. We were still in debt and prohibited. Slavery more like still prohibiting. Half free, we got more to be. We're still crying, we're all the same, we all bleed. We all hurt, we all see, I'm meaning equal. I'm saying there should be more teaching about Black lives in classes of history. When we're only taught about our Black slavery, our skin is still a mystery, so miss continuous, unreliable resources, so do it on your own time. Find your Black line, read up on your history. So when you look at your skin, it's like, oh, that's the mysteries. Let's move way back. For the past 400 years, like the years of tears, 1719, First Amendment, we were all free, more like half free. I am a Black teen talking about Black lives like soul ties. Black lives are tangled into history. You can't miss us because we played a big part in your victory. In order to help with the misconceptions of oppression, you have to go way back, talking 1619 when this all started. So you want to know our history. So hit the books and take a look. We all got the power, use your voice. I'm not just talking about Black lives, I'm saying all lives, so we can strive for a better future. Let us know we are not forgotten. Let's be brought in. Words are powerful. Read the stories and the triumphs along with the current history. I'm just one child with a voice, but with millions, we can't be touched.
Thank you, Madison. Great job. That was really powerful. Well, our third submission comes from 10th grader Zaria Ford from Rock Ridge High School in Loudoun County in our northern region.
Blue skies, white clouds, green grass and pink shoes, brown feet on concrete, yellow sun brings heat. Tag or hide and seek, so many games to choose. How about soccer? I sure hope we don't lose. Run, kick, sweat and play, soggy shirts and dirty knees. Time to go home already. 10 more minutes, please. Mom buys me ice cream at the McDonald's drive-thru. With all this wonderful weather, my day can't get any better. Tucked in and a kiss goodnight. Warm milk puts me at ease. When I grow up, I'll play forever, and nobody can stop me. I grew up. Outdoors turned to cold floors, smart boards, and numbered doors. Fun and play turned to dreary hallways, child prodigies and bums array. Welcome to my 8th grade. Same bullies, new words. Darkened is my rainbow. Underground lies my halo. Rest in peace, says the tombstone. I'm the blackest in my class, the Jim Crow amongst doves. Does my white paint my black, or does my black paint my white? Maybe I should change to make things right. Straight hair, skinny bones, blue eyes and new clothes. I do my best to fit in, but sometimes I forget my skin tone. Class, today we're learning about slavery. I feel curious eyes turn to me. Up and down they look every nook and cranny, thinking about where I would be in our history. Questions fall like raindrops in a hurricane. Are those extensions? Can you let me say the N-word? Your braids make you look like an alien, like the one from The Predator. Your hair looks so soft. Can I touch it? Wow. It feels like a cloud. If I had hair like yours, I'd be proud. Shot dead every day, a zombie trying to crawl out its grave. Every bullet takes a bit of black with it. Lacking knowledge in my culture, it's a deficit. Dark is bad. Lighten up. You're too young to be thinking about this stuff. Think about lipstick, makeup, iPhones and toys, manicures and pedicures, and joy. Well, what about the darkness and light? The death and life, dread and love, murder? Police on the streets could kill my family and me, and I can't remember my skin color. With age comes wisdom. With wisdom comes power. With power comes responsibility. A new reality visited me. Reflection, connection, meditation. Writing is my therapy. My thoughts begin to speak. I hear and understand how depressed I used to be. Red, purple, green, blue, yellow, cyan, and orange. Once a rainy day with dismay is engulfed in a color explosion. Living in different worlds makes me wiser now. So with this new power, I hereby vow to remember who I am. Don't worry what others think. Black isn't bad. The opposite, really. It's bold, it's beautiful, and unique. Blue sky, white clouds, colors back in stock. Brown feet taking steps to meet a dream down the sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaria. Our final submission comes from our Western region, Julie Thomas. She attends Harrisonburg High School in the Shenandoah Valley and is in the 9th grade.
Hi, my name is Julie Thomas, and I'm the Western Regional winner of the Strong Men and Women Virginia contest. Martin Luther King Jr. Civil rights activist and church minister once stated, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." The countless stories of minorities' oppression, isolation, and stripping of their human rights is what America throws away, ignoring the hard truth of it all. To this day, we still ask ourselves, when will we receive our social justice? As I see it, social justice is the ability to have an equal chance at getting opportunities, privileges, and affluence, no matter who you are. Growing up as a black woman in America, every act of disparity is like a slap in the face, reminding me of this country's old roots built on hatred that still show in today's society. The racings of American history are real and are happening at this very moment. Our history classes are blinding the eye to the rawness and realness of it and are filling our textbooks with romanticized bits. Is it crazy to even say that social media has educated me more about this country's old truths than any history class ever could? To keep going on with this falsehood, we leave no reflection for future generations on how we paved the path to get here. After a series of turnovers that this year took, there's one happening that will stay with me: the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. The death of George Floyd erupted a worldwide hearing. All over, people came out and yelled about the injustices in the streets and marched for a change. Juneteenth secured the freedom to all slaves, yet we are still faced with the inequalities and racism day by day. With modern-day lynchings to police brutality, we've never truly been free. I cannot go another day seeing another loss of one of my many black brothers and sisters. Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Aiyana Stanley Jones, Eric Garner, Katherine Johnston. There's only a few names of the many who lost their lives at the hands of hate. With that comes a new hashtag and us wondering, when will they ever stop killing us? With that, what can you do to be in support of social justice? In your free time, educate yourself on the movement you'd like to support and find out what there is to achieve. To get the word out about your chosen movement, go out and protest. You can also do this by talking about the selected issues on your social media platforms. Without voices, there cannot be change. In addition, you can volunteer and donate to different organizations. Funding will help a lot in the long run to make your movement move forward. All in all, be a good ally. When you are called out on your mistakes, realize that you're at fault and improve for the better. We cannot expect a better future if we don't try to be a part of that change. Thank you.
Julie, that was great. Thank you. Well, please join me now for a round of applause. All of this falls under the category of a learning process, and that includes me. I have just learned that we have some very, very impressive young people studying around Virginia. I congratulate each and every one of you. We are so proud of you. Keep up the great work. Now it's time to turn to the strong men and women in Virginia history honorees for 2021. Over a period stretching into its fourth decade, this program has honored more than 300 outstanding men and women whose lives and accomplishments demonstrate the qualities of strength, leadership, and excellence. Their lives, their stories, deserve to be remembered and told, and perhaps more now than ever. They demonstrate by their own deeds and accomplishments the power of human determination, of courage, integrity, even when confronted by society's obstacles. They've been advocates for others as well and have quite literally shaped their communities for the better. They have helped give Virginia a history in which we may all take pride. In the spirit of giving, I am pleased to announce that the Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation is donating $20,000 to 4 charitable organizations selected by this year's honorees. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our 2021 Strong Men and Women honorees. The first is Krista N. Jones, an Arlington County political activist and mentor. Krista Jones grew up in a U.S. Navy family, and that exposed her to an unusual range of diverse personalities and living conditions. That's what military life does for you. She grew up to understand the importance of African American history. After graduating from the University of Florida, where she directed students taking action against racism, she spent 2 years in Paraguay with the Peace Corps and helped create student governments. She settled in Arlington County, worked as a lobbyist, and studied at the University of Virginia's Sorensen Institute for Political Leadership to hone her skills as an advocate for others. While earning a master's degree at the George Washington University's Graduate School of Political Management, Krista Jones was challenged to expand her thesis on Virginia's lack of African American representatives in Congress, and in 2006, she established the Virginia Leadership Institute. Now known as Vote Lead Impact, her nonpartisan organization trains and mentors African Americans to run for elected office at all levels in Virginia and elsewhere. It also awards scholarships to those who want to pursue leadership development programs. Increase diversity, advocate, mentor, develop the next generation of leaders. These have been her goals. Jones has served on the boards of the Junior League for Northern Virginia and the Arlington Community Foundation. She's a leader and has been broadly recognized as such. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to present Krista Jones, a 2021 honoree. The Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation will make a $5,000 donation to Vote Lead Impact in honor of Krista Jones.
Hello, my name is Krista Jones, and I'm extremely honored to be named a 2021 Strong Men and Women in Virginia History honoree by the Library of Virginia and Dominion Energy. I want you to imagine a world where you don't feel heard. You're told that you should participate and that we are all equal, but in practice, you don't see anyone like you in positions of power and you don't feel heard or represented. Where you don't see yourself in elected officials, in the media, in magazines, and then you're marginalized for not getting ahead. For too long, many of us have had to just simply accept not having people who look like us in positions of power and authority. In May of 2000, I embarked on an adventure that would transform me in immeasurable ways. Simultaneously invigorating and frustrating, my service in the Peace Corps in Paraguay, South America, was definitely the toughest job I ever loved. I joined the Peace Corps to help transition the former dictatorship to a democracy. It was exciting to work with local government, a community radio station, and also organize women's empowerment programs. Yet it was baffling to walk down the street and be teased for my hair and my skin color. Even though Paraguay borders Brazil and they are home to the Guarani Indian, in 2000, they were not used to seeing people who looked like me. A lot of their media was in the form of American and Mexican television of the 1980s and 90s, where they saw those of African descent portrayed as thieves and maids. Despite the advancement the US had made up to that point in terms of representation, when I left the United States and went to a place where their culture was informed by what we were trying to move past, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was uncomfortable, it was stressful, it was frustrating to not be able to control how I was being represented. I took that frustration and started 2 Peace Corps groups to raise awareness of diversity, which proved to be a harbinger of things to come for me. My own experience walking down the streets of Paraguay helped me see firsthand the damage that a stereotype of any type can have and how harmful it is to not be represented appropriately. Fast forward to 2006, while working on my master's thesis at George Washington University, I wanted to explore the lack of representation of African Americans in politics in Virginia. I wondered why there weren't more Black elected officials, why there weren't more African Americans elected in primarily white districts. I also thought about whether voter attitudes could actually be changed over time. And quite simply, how do you get more African Americans to want to run for office? My professor suggested that I create an organization to solve the problem instead of writing a purely academic thesis. And shortly after, I founded Virginia Leadership Institute, or what is now today known as Vote Lead Impact, or VLI. This year, we are celebrating 15 years of training, mentoring, networking, and scholarships. Our original goal was to have representation in elected office proportional to the Black population by 2026. We are currently in the process of gathering that data and developing a plan to meet that goal. I do believe that we will look back at this time in history as a pivotal time for this nation. In 2016, there was definitely a surge in the number of minorities and women who ran for office. And over the last 4 years, that momentum has only grown. More organizations have been formed and more resources have been allocated to improve representation. There have been so many lessons that I have learned in life. And one is that you may think that you're leaving something behind, but if you just wait, it may come back to delight you or to haunt you. I mentioned that in the Peace Corps, I was working for local government, a radio station, and doing women's empowerment. I am doing the exact same thing today. I'm so excited to serve as the new president for the National Women's Political Caucus of Virginia. Founded in 1971 by Gloria Steinem, Shirley Chisholm, and Bella Abzug, and countless others. While they weren't perfect, I am proud to stand on their shoulders. I'm also working on 2 digital talk shows all about community, all about raising awareness, and a radio show, and I also work for Arlington County government. This award is especially important to me because of the people who have been honored this year, because they've done the hard work of organizing and agitating and sacrifice, all for the betterment of our community. My only hope is that I can also inspire the next generation to do the same. My journey has been focused on getting the right people at the table, getting the right people to break the table if necessary, and also getting the right people to detonate the table as well. I just want to get the right people there to represent you and me and make this nation the best it can be.
Our next honoree is Dr. Lurla G. Joseph, an outstanding Richmond physician and community health advocate. Dr. Joseph earned her medical degree at Wake Forest University and then completed her residency in internal medicine at Howard University Hospital in Washington, D.C. After working as an internist in Detroit for the U.S. Public Health Service, she practiced medicine in Richmond and then made her way to a private practice in Charles City County, one of Virginia's most historic communities. Yes, lots of history, but not enough medical care for the majority African American population, a situation that existed in adjacent communities as well. Dr. Joseph resolved to do something about that, and she did. Expanding her practice, she offered a diagnostic center, disease prevention training, and other services to provide a center of healing for her patients. Then, in 2012, she founded the Central Virginia she actually founded the Central Virginia Coalition of Healthcare Providers, one of the nation's few minority-owned accountable care organizations. The purpose was to bring general practitioners, specialists, and other medical professionals in the region together and provide accessible, high-quality, and affordable care for Medicare recipients. Dr. Joseph's passion for helping people has earned her broad recognition, and that spirit has extended as well to far-flung places such as Haiti, where the need has always been great. Dr. Joseph has served on boards of the Richmond Community Hospital, and Bon Secours Health System, became the first woman elected president of the Richmond Medical Society as well. Please welcome Dr. Lurla G. Joseph.
Good evening, everyone. When I was 8 years old, Reverend James Alexander, our pastor, who went on to become Dean of the Department of Divinity at Shaw University, asked me what did I want to be when I grow up. I said a missionary. Growing up in New Bern, North Carolina with my mother, who was raising 6 children alone, there was not many opportunities to learn about missionaries. However, I had a great example of a missionary. My grandmother, Laura Balcom. There was never an empty plate at her table, nor a door closed to anyone who was in need. She was my inspiration. I believe we are all born to a purpose, and even when our lives detour or we go down a different path, there's a small, still voice inside of us that will draw us back to that purpose. Age is no factor. I was drawn back to that purpose in 2005 while watching the movie Hotel Rwanda. The story of Paul Rusesabagina and the Rwandan genocide was so inspiring with his courage and his sacrifice. My small, still voice said to me, "You can do more to help others in the world." 2 months later, my 15-year-old son and I joined a local Christian mission to go to Haiti. They needed a lead physician. This was my first medical mission trip. I was definitely out of my comfort zone. And when we arrived, it was further intimidating. We had to see more than 100 patients a day. Haiti is a desperately poor economically country. However, there are some wonderful people who live there. Pastor Leon Dorlians and his wife Jackie have devoted their lives to improving the lives of Haitians through Haiti Outreach Ministries. I received affirmation that I was in the right place when I visited their church in City Soleil. Their motto, "Enter to learn, depart to serve," is the same motto as my dear Winston-Salem State University. Pastor Leon questioned the altruism of African Americans because not too many have visited his ministry in more than 20 years of service. But I told him, once they hear the story, they will come. I returned home in 2005 to tell everyone I knew about Haiti Outreach Ministries and the need of the Haitian people. My niece signed on to go with me in 2007. We have arranged more than 200 missionaries to Haiti Outreach Ministries. I'd like to thank Dominion Resources and the Library of Virginia for this singular honor. For years, I have sat in the audience and listened to the stories of so many accomplished men and women. But most of all, I come each year to hear the essays of the high school students. They give me hope that America will one day live up to its creed. I'd like to thank all of those who have entrusted my niece and I to lead the mission trips. Also, all the churches that have donated supplies and money. I'd like to thank the Links Incorporated, who have made our mission their mission. And all the individual people who have prayed for our success and safe return. Finally, I'd like to thank Dr. Tony King, who placed my name in nomination. Dr. King, when a colleague expresses admiration in this way, it means so much. Thank you all.
The Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation will make a $5,000 donation to Winston-Salem State University on behalf of Dr. Joseph. Congratulations. Our next honoree is State Senator Lily Louise Lucas of Portsmouth. As a community activist, entrepreneur, and lawmaker, L. Louise Lucas has tirelessly advocated for residents of southeastern Virginia. She is quite literally a political force to be reckoned with. Her career began memorably a half-century ago as Norfolk Naval Shipyard's first female shiplifter in 1971. It was the first of many firsts. During her long career, Louise recognized public needs and fought for answers. She earned degrees at Norfolk State University and joined its faculty in 1994, coordinating research efforts and securing federal aid for retraining programs. A respected entrepreneur, she established businesses to provide residential and healthcare services for intellectually disabled adults. Concerned with substandard housing, she got involved with the Portsmouth Emergency Housing Coalition and led anti-poverty efforts as director of the Southeastern Tidewater Opportunity Project. She was a natural for political leadership and became the first Black woman to win election to the Portsmouth City Council. Elected to the state of Virginia in 1991, Louise Lucas became the first woman and the first African American elected as its president's pro tempore in 2019. Throughout her career, Lucas has fought to restore voting rights, reduce firearms, expand background checks, expand health care, and remove remnants of historical hatred from the public square. For a lifetime of public service to Virginia, Senator Lucas, we applaud you. The next two awards are given posthumously. The first is given to Reverend Stan Macklin, a Harrisonburg social justice activist who died in January. All through his life, Stan Macklin labored to include and empower others to work for racial justice. While growing up in Illinois, Stan Macklin was inspired by Martin Luther King Jr.'s message of nonviolence to effect social change. He became a Mennonite minister and served as a pastor of Joy Mennonite Fellowship in Peoria during the 1980s, where he was also president of the Harrison Homes Mission in one of the city's public housing developments. Reverend Macklin became a force for justice and inclusion, an advocate for African American church leadership, and moved to Harrisonburg around 2000. He quickly made himself heard and became a force for justice and inclusion. He worked to bring immigrant groups together and fought anti-immigration legislation. He promoted criminal justice reform to end mandatory sentencing and the criminalization of drug addiction. People will remember the peace rallies Reverend Macklin organized in Harrisonburg last summer following the death of George Floyd. He was a unifier, a leader. Stan Macklin was the founder and president of the Harriet Tubman Cultural Center, which he opened in 2010 to emphasize her legacy of leadership and service to others. Toward the end of his life, Reverend Macklin told a reporter, quote, "We want to be people everywhere acting courageously every day." Reverend Stan Macklin lived those words. He was an example all his life of courage in action.
I would like to take a moment and thank Dominion Energy for the 2021 Strong Man and Woman in Virginia History Award presented to my husband, Stan Macklin. My husband, Stan Macklin, exemplified community involvement by engaging in several community projects, including renaming Cantrell Avenue in Harrisonburg, Virginia, to Martin Luther King Jr. Way, which opened the door to him holding marches on every MLK Day. He served on multiple committees and boards that stood for social justice and change. He lived and breathed it with his whole being. He was the founder and president of the Harriet Tubman Culture Center here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Stan held yearly Harriet Tubman Day celebrations and honored people who were about community and peace. He was a drum major for peace and community. He founded People's Equality Commission of Shenandoah Valley, also known as PECO, following one of the peace rallies held in Harrisonburg in wake of George Floyd's death. He hosted a series of meetings, some of which are still planned, so that the community members could get to know the officers who took the oath to protect and serve. Stan was a loving, caring husband to me and a great father to our 6 children and 15 grandchildren. He was our priest, provider, and protector. Although Stan is no longer with us, he went to be with the Lord on January the 11th, 2021. It is with great honor on his behalf that I received this award. Thank you so very much.
The Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation will make a $5,000 donation to the Harriet Tubman Cultural Center in honor of the late Stan Macklin. Our next Posthumous Award goes to Evelyn Reed Syfax, an Arlington County educator, an entrepreneur, an inspired leader. The legacy of the Syfax family traces back to African royalty, and its American history runs through slave ownership of George Washington. It is a legacy of exceptional accomplishment and perseverance and remains influential in Arlington to this day. Born Evelyn Reed in Lynchburg, Virginia, she earned a degree in English from Virginia Union University in 1948, taught in Lynchburg, and moved to Arlington, where she married Archie D. Syfax. Continuing her teaching career in the Arlington County Public School System, Evelyn Syfax launched the Syfax Child Care Center in 1963, thereby establishing the first preschool for African Americans in the county. She retired as a reading specialist in the Arlington school system in 1972 and in 1980. Began a 4-year term on the Arlington School Board, where she advocated for a program to improve the reading, writing, and math skills of underachieving elementary students. She championed children and women, helping to establish scholarships and mentoring programs. She established a local chapter of the Coalition of 100 Black Women to improve the social and political status of Black women, helped document the site of Freedmen's Village, and create the Black Heritage Museum of Arlington. In 2010, the Virginia Union University named its School of Education for Evelyn Reed Syfax. To discover Evelyn Syfax's history is to discover Virginia's history. Her life enriches ours. Here to represent his mother, a few words from her son, Craig Syfax. Hello, I'm Craig Syfax. As a board member of the Black Heritage Museum of Arlington, it is my great honor to extend a warm thank you for your recognition of our founder, Evelyn Reed Syfax. Exhibited at the museum are Evelyn's contributions to society. Her achievements in education. She wanted every child to have equal opportunity to learn, to read, and write. Her community service. She was an active member in her Baptist church, and she also started a shoe bank to assure everyone could have a pair of shoes. Her empowerment of Black women included her involvement in Black organizations such as the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. She was their Mid-Atlantic regional director. Born and raised and later married with a family of her own, she spent her entire life in this great commonwealth of Virginia. Evelyn loved abundantly, and her legacy will always be remembered. All are welcome to explore this rich history. The Black Heritage Museum of Arlington wants to thank Dominion Energy for their charitable gift and the Library of Virginia for bringing us all together for this live stream event. The Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation will make a $5,000 donation to the Black Heritage Museum in honor of the late Evelyn Syfax. Well, please join me now in congratulating our 5 honorees for the 2021 Strong Men and Women in Virginia History Program. It has certainly been a privilege and an honor for me to serve as your mistress of ceremonies tonight. Congratulations to all of our honorees and our Student Creative Contest winners. You are all an inspiring bunch. I will now turn the program back over to Tanya Bird.
Thank you, Makia, and thank you for your support as we work to promote and recognize excellence in leadership in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find more information about our program and our honorees on the Library of Virginia's website. And for those who are interested in the history of the program and its past honorees, Dominion Energy maintains an archive of past strong men and women on its website. Before we conclude our program this evening, I have 2 exciting announcements. I am pleased to share that we have expanded the student contest portion of the Strong Men and Women program into South Carolina. Dominion Energy will partner with the South Carolina Department of Education for the Strong Men and Strong Women in South Carolina History Student Essay Contest. Additionally, to continue our highlights of excellence during Black History Month, please join us virtually on Tuesday, February 16th at 1 p.m. for our HBCU Promise President's Forum, the first in a series of conversations on equity with presidents of historically Black colleges and universities in Dominion Energy's footprint. Last year, Dominion Energy committed $25 million in support of 11 HBCUs in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Ohio. Information about this event can be found in the chat and also in the description of this live stream. This concludes the 2021 Strong Men and Women in Virginia History Celebration. Thank you for your support as we continue to work promoting and recognizing excellence in leadership and in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I want to thank everyone who worked to make this event possible. We hope you enjoyed your night, and we will see you again next year.